They called him a mystic, a healer, a devil, and a prophet. But above all, Grigori Rasputin became a legend, not just for his influence over the Russian royal family, but for the way he met his end, or rather, how he refused to meet it. Let's step back to early 20th century Russia. Rasputin was a peasant from Siberia who rose from obscurity to become the most feared and fascinating man in St. Petersburg. He claimed to have healing powers, and whether true or not, he gained the trust of Tsar Nicholas II and his wife Alexandra, especially for helping their son Alexei, who suffered from hemophilia. But Rasputin's growing influence made him dangerous enemies. Nobles, politicians, and even members of the royal family saw him as a threat. So in December 1916, a group of conspirators set out to eliminate him once and for all. The plan was simple: poison, shoot, and if necessary, finish him off. But Rasputin was not an ordinary man. First, they served him cakes and wine laced with enough cyanide to kill several people. Hours passed. To their horror, Rasputin showed no sign of weakness. He simply kept eating and drinking. Panic set in. One of the conspirators pulled out a revolver and shot him at close range. Rasputin collapsed. But when they checked his body, his eyes suddenly opened. With an almost superhuman force, he staggered to his feet and lunged at his attackers. Terrified, they fired again. Still, he tried to escape. Desperate, the men beat him, tied him up, and threw him into the icy Neva River. When his body was finally recovered, doctors claimed water was found in his lungs, meaning Rasputin was still breathing when he hit the freezing water. Whether all the details are true or exaggerated, one thing is certain: the story of Rasputin's death turned him into something larger than life, a man who simply refused to die. Was he really protected by mystical powers? Or was it just coincidence, alcohol, and a stubborn will to live? The truth remains a mystery, but his legend still haunts history as the peasant who defied death itself. Now, here's a fun fact. During World War II, German soldiers searching for Rasputin's body in a St. Petersburg hospital came across another corpse with a striking resemblance to the Mad Monk. They assumed they'd found him, cut open the coffin, and tossed his remains into a nearby river. Later, Russians recovered the body and buried it with full honors. But the end? Even death couldn't silence the rumors. Over the years, more than a dozen men have come forward claiming to be Rasputin reincarnated. And who could blame them? After that dramatic entrance onto the world stage, Rasputin continued to make headlines. In 1929, the New York Times reported a mysterious figure had entered the U.S. under a false name and was healing the sick. Could it be? Well, maybe. Or maybe it was just a clever publicity stunt. Throughout the Cold War, stories circulated about Rasputin sightings in both the Soviet Union and America. Some claimed he'd been a spy, others that he was training a new generation of mystics. But with each passing decade, the stories became more fantastical and less believable. In the 1970s, Rasputin was everywhere. Books, TV shows, even cartoons poked fun at his legendary status. But amidst all the silliness, some wondered if there was more to the Mad Monk than met the eye. In the early 1990s, Russian scientists took a fresh look at Rasputin's remains. Perhaps surprisingly, given his supposed mystical powers, they found traces of both the poison and the bullet that had supposedly taken his life. Finally, in 1998, researchers used DNA testing to confirm the remains were indeed Rasputin's. It seemed the Mad Monk was finally resting in peace. Or was he? Just a year later, another Russian scientist claimed that not only was Rasputin still alive, but that he was expecting a child. According to this outlandish theory, Rasputin had faked his death and was living incognito as a monk in a remote monastery. Talk about commitment to the bit. As for the DNA evidence, well, it seems our dear Mad Monk may have gotten a little too comfortable in his grave. maybe even more comfortable than we're willing to admit. So what do you think? Did Rasputin cheat death? Or did he just cheat on his grave? Either way, this story proves death can sometimes be stranger than fiction. Do you need more proof? Check out these videos. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so you're always the first to know when we've uncovered another amazing mystery. Until then, remember, some mysteries are best left unsolved.